That team winning. Team, not individual, team.
Yeah. And anybody that want to compete and be a winner, you know,
It's about team.
It's about team.
She didn't want to take credit for all of those ratings, but we all realize that Caitlin Clark single-handedly is responsible for the WNBA mattering.
You know what's insane? Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark both averaged 19.2 points per game this season. That's not a typo. Two players, same team, same exact scoring average. But here's the kicker. Last year, the Fever couldn't buy a win. Now they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. What changed? Strap in, because this story is wild. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. You won't believe the roller coaster Kelsey Mitchell's been on with the Indiana Fever. This is the kind of story that makes you realize how tough pro sports can be. Imagine playing your heart out for 7 years straight and not once making it to the playoffs. That's what Mitchell was dealing with in Indiana. And it wasn't just the losses. She had to adapt to 4 different coaches in that time.
7 years in Indy, I've had 4 head coaches. So that within itself was kind of like, you know, no one really knows what an experience of like.
Talk about a rocky road. But here's where things get really intense. Last year, Mitchell hit rock bottom. She lost her dad, who was her biggest supporter. Can you imagine trying to play at the highest level while dealing with that kind of grief?
It's been a difficult year for me from a standpoint of like personal. You know, I lost my dad 5 or 6 months ago, so that was tough. And
it was so bad that Mitchell seriously thought about walking away from basketball altogether. She even said, "I didn't know what would happen next if I was going to play this season, how I was supposed to play this season." That's how close we came to losing one of the WNBA's brightest stars.
At that point, Dale, we was trying to figure out whether I would keep swimming or if I would sink individually. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what would happen in my career.
But you know what's crazy? Just when things looked darkest, a ray of hope appeared. The Fever drafted Caitlin Clark, and suddenly the whole vibe of the team changed. It's like Clark brought this infectious energy that even Mitchell couldn't resist. And let me tell you, it showed on the court. Mitchell's game went through the roof. We're talking career numbers here. 46% from the field and 40% from 3. That's the kind of shooting that makes defenders lose sleep at night.
That team winning. Team, not individual, team.
Yeah. And anybody that want to compete and be a winner, you know,
It's about team.
It's about team.
But it wasn't just about the stats. Mitchell found a new purpose, a new drive. She described her teammates as a village that supported her through the tough times. How awesome is that? And get this, Mitchell didn't just power through on her own. She took her mental health seriously and started therapy. She said, "I took therapy really serious. It's nothing like laying your problems on people and they don't judge you."
The Pacers facility, St. Vincent, the Fever, before the season I got started, and I took therapy really serious.
That's some real talk right there, and it's so important for athletes to be open about this stuff. As the season went on, Mitchell just kept getting better. It was like she was channeling all her emotions into her game. And you know what? It worked. The Fever started winning games. Fans started showing up in droves. It was like the curse that had been hanging over the team for 7 years was finally lifting. You know what's crazier than a rookie changing a team? A rookie changing an entire league. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark did when she joined the Indiana Fever. It's like she brought a magic wand and suddenly everyone's eyes were on Indiana.
Season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400%.
But here's the real question. Was it just hype or was something revolutionary happening? Let's break it down. Clark didn't just show up and start scoring. She was dishing out assists like a seasoned pro, creating opportunities left and right. And you know who was loving it? Kelsey Mitchell. Suddenly, she was getting wide open looks she'd never seen before. It was like Clark had a GPS for finding Mitchell on the court. But it wasn't just about the stats. The whole vibe of the team changed. Practices got more intense. Games felt like events. Even the fans were bringing a new level of noise.
What All-Star was gonna look like for me. I never really put it on like not necessarily it wasn't a goal, I just knew I needed to train and do what I need to do to keep my name.
It was like the entire city of Indianapolis remembered they had a basketball team, and they were pumped about it. Here's the thing though, it wasn't just the Clark show. Mitchell stepped up in a big way. She wasn't just playing better, she was leading better. She took Clark under her wing, showing her the ropes of the WNBA. It was like watching a big sister teach her little sister all her tricks. Now let's talk numbers for a second. Both Clark and Mitchell averaging 19.2 points per game. That's not just good, that's historic. You've got a rookie and a veteran, both lighting up the scoreboard like it's the 4th of July.
Get a spot. For me, it was about keeping my name, at least, or my game relevant to, enough to have value.
Defenses didn't know what to do. Focus on Clark, and Mitchell would burn you. Try to stop Mitchell, and Clark would make you pay. The games were like highlight reels, alley-oops, no-look passes, clutch shots. It was SportsCenter material every single night. The Fever weren't just winning games, they were putting on a show. But you know what's really cool? Mitchell talked about how Clark's energy was contagious. It wasn't just about the skills, it was about the attitude. Clark brought this competitive fire that lit a spark under everyone. Mitchell said it even revitalized her own passion for the game.
Spot was just always a safe haven. I kind of took it from there, just, utilized what I knew about it. And that's how I knew what my lifestyle was, just through hoop.
Imagine that, a rookie coming in and reminding a veteran why she fell in love with basketball in the first place. And get this, the Fever made the playoffs for the first time since 2016. That's right, they broke the curse. It wasn't just about winning a few more games, it was about changing the entire culture of the team.
I was dealt with I take what's, I trusted in the organization in different ways, from the management and the people that they brought in.
The front office saw what was happening and they were all in. They knew they had something special with Mitchell's leadership and Clark's spark.
The black stick at the bottom. Trust me, I've been there. Trust me. So I was, that's really how it started,
You know what's wild? The fans couldn't get enough. Attendance went through the roof. TV ratings were skyrocketing. People who'd never watched a WNBA game in their lives were tuning in to see what all the fuss was about. And you know what? They stayed for the show. Let's talk about the future of the Indiana Fever. You know what's crazy? Kelsey Mitchell is pumped about what's coming. She's not just talking, she's feeling it.
She didn't want to take credit for all of those ratings, but we all realize that Caitlin Clark single-handedly is responsible for the WNBA mattering.
I feel confident about what we could do. I do, she said. That's not just player speak, that's real excitement. Imagine this, the Fever went from rock bottom to the playoffs in 2 years. That's not just a comeback, that's a whole new game. Mitchell and Clark aren't just teammates, they're like basketball superheroes. And get this, they're just warming up. You know what's even crazier? Next season is going to be wild. Every game will be like a mini championship.
Back against the wall, and so what everybody see now is just, I've always been a fighter. I've always kind of had to compete and find a different way to,
The curse? Gone. Crushed. Forgotten. Now we're talking about the start of something big. A new basketball dynasty might be brewing in Indiana, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single minute of it.